Welcome to the show that explores the methods and strategies on rocking the financial side of your music business. With over 40 years combined experience, here are your hosts, Chris Webb and Dave Tampkin.
Welcome to Musician's Tip Jar, where we talk about musicians and money, where we love finding ways to simplify the rules to make our efforts towards success easier and clearer. I'm Chris Webb, joined by my co-host and the consistent voice of clarity, Dave Tampkin.
Thanks for having me back, Chris. I'm not sure if my voice is too clear for this episode. Too many nights hanging out till 2 a.m. And we'll just try to get through it the best we can.
Yeah, you got to talk more up here.
Yeah, I don't know if my voice is going to crack.
Nothing wrong with a high voice, Dave.
No, there isn't. I wish I had a higher voice, honestly.
Today, we complete our interview with sync artist, creative, and mentor, Jared Oluwa. We examine his 2-year rule strategy, discuss how his biggest placement to date came about, and share the value of joining organizations that align with your passions. Today's quote comes from our guest, Jared. He said, "I've been without money and felt like I've had all the money, and had all the money and felt like I had no money and wasn't even happy."
This week's nonprofit is earshot.org. They believe that artists are the heart and soul of jazz. They're committed to providing a safe place for artists and audiences alike and equitable opportunities that aim to support and propel artists' careers. They believe that cultivating a dynamic jazz community is paramount. They are committed to building inclusive partnerships as a key element to their programs. Please learn more at earshot.org.
Jared Oluwa is 35-year-old out of Los Angeles. He is an instrumentalist and a vocal producer. He grew up in a musical family, and he tends to work closely with his youngest brother, Beats Made by Fresh. Together, they've landed placements on BET, VH1, MTV, and many more. Aside from music, Jared has also had the heart and to share his knowledge with the creative community. Some of the organizations he volunteers with include Youth Mentoring Connection, Music Forward, Grammy U program as a mentor as well. In 2021, he joined the LA Recording Academy, where he became involved in the advocacy and served in the Professional Development Committee. We really enjoy chatting with Jared. He's so fun to hang out with, and I hope that you get a lot out of his experience and his insights. Let's go.
I had this 2-year window where it's just like, if I want something, I have to work at it consistently and reimagine or redo 2 years of it. And if it doesn't work, I tried it. So like, if you want to be like, okay, I want to be a entrepreneur and I have to scale and make profit. Okay, give yourself 2 years of figuring it out, doing the work, researching, interning, working so you can understand what you're doing from a ground level, and then go hit the work. If it doesn't work within 2 years, what did you learn? And if you didn't hit any success within that 2 years, maybe try something else. Because if you're doing it and you're like actually re-evolving and things of that nature within that 2 years, something's got to hit. It has to.
What you're saying in there that I think a lot of people miss is that the things like interning, the things like actually getting into the community that is doing what it is you're trying to do is such a critical piece, right? To giving it a full 2 years of or a real go at it, right?
Yeah. Whatever age you're at, 30, 40, 50, some people think that I'm too old to intern. It's just like interning is just only going to help you elevate and propel you to the next level. Right now, you might look weird and corny for, doing free work, but you're getting education that's going to be an amount of money that you really can't put an amount on, because you're getting information that you can give to the masses. And not only that, for the people, it's for yourself. Like we mentioned earlier, like, what we're saying to other people, we also have to listen to it ourselves. And so learning, it never stops. That's never been a corny thing. It's only for people who don't have it that thinks it's corny.
And being a young intern implicates that what you're doing is what you have to do for the rest of your life, because you're young, just learning this one thing. So if you're always learning something new, the age of an intern does not matter. Because if anything, you should say, hey, this person is continuing to grow and evolve. And that's the person that's showing up. And I think you see this like maybe in I would remember in college, like the older person who's actually paying for college themselves,
Yeah,
or maybe a younger person who actually got the loan and paid for college. They're the ones
yeah,
always raising their hands and
yeah,
have the
yeah.
most questions instead of the people that are just on like maybe a free ride, or they're like, oh, please, let's get out to lunch or let's move on.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are most motivated.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then on that topic, I think it's also great because learning more, become more of an asset and you creating more value. And then it goes back into what Chris was talking about, sustainability. That can be for a personal development thing, or that can be for a financial thing where you can have more sustainability because that value is there. People are always going to come to you because they know you're good for this or for this or for that. I know who to come to for when I need something, you know?
Totally. We talk about finance here a lot, but more in the sense of sustainability, more in the sense of thriving. We're never telling people that they need to be rich, right? We
Yeah.
all know, and if you haven't figured it out yet, you will figure out that money doesn't make you happy. What
Right.
makes you happy is your purpose. What makes you happy is finding a way to do what it is you want to do with your life and do it to a point that the world rewards you in things like money and sustainability. So I'm curious, as your path has progressed and you've maintained abilities to find outlets in all these different ways that you like to express yourself, what are some financial things that perhaps have stuck out as good advice for others trying to pursue their careers?
One thing is when you do get a large amount of money, be thoughtful and relax if you can,
Hmm.
because I've done it where I've gotten a large check and I'm like, oh, I can go get this and I'm going to take my buddies out to eat and I'm going to go on this travel. It's like, that's great. But also, hey, when that money's gone, that money's gone.
Hmm.
So, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to invest it in some equipment? Are you going to invest it in the stock market so it can, compound on the interest? Are you going to do things that you need to do around the house? So, it's like when you do get that money, does that make you happy? No, but it can bring solutions to a lot of different things that are issues and challenges for you. Because I've been without money and felt like I had all the money.
Hmm.
I had all the money and felt like I didn't have no money and I wasn't happy.
Hmm.
So it's like, before I had the money, I thought that when I have money, I'm going to be happy and be like, oh, I got money, I don't have any problems. Like, no, no, that's not the truth. So, and a lot of people won't understand that until they experience it.
Hmm.
It's always, no, if it was me, I would do it like this. But until you experience it, it's always going to look different.
Hmm.
What would you say your most lucrative and like creatively it was had the most value for you as far as placements with Sync?
So the most lucrative one was the KFC placement. And it's actually a funny story because I mentioned that 2-year window and I made that song 2 years prior to the placement for something totally different, but also engaging in relationships, like I mentioned earlier, how important that is. Rashad Richardson of Madden Floor Entertainment was representing that catalog, pitched that to the advisors at KFC and ended up getting the placement for me when I had no idea, So it's just like that was a lucrative move for me and the biggest in my career thus far. And it's just like this is actually possible. I've heard different people say, "Man, I've made 5 figures in a sync," and I'm just like, "Man, what does that feel like?" So now it was my turn. I'm like, "Hey, yo, is this what it feels like? This is the actual possible thing that you can actually do." It makes you look at it differently, because at first I was just getting a couple hundred, a couple thousand, and then it became like, oh, I don't have to work for a couple years
Hmm.
after this check. Like, so, but I still went to work as if nothing happened. Like, you don't want to be like, I made it, and then just like off. So I still worked. So that's something that's definitely been a great experience for me and just a creative thing. And I actually was in transition of quitting music for a while, taking a hiatus.
Hmm.
And people were like, "Oh, are you back now since you got that placement?" I'm like, "No, I'm still on hiatus. Like this, I said I was gonna be on hiatus. That's what I'm gonna do. The money's not gonna change what I said or how I feel."
In the way
No,
the money
what?
let you take the break, didn't it?
Right, yeah.
How does that change your resume as far as the way people that are looking for someone like you that had a placement like that and now that sound is more familiar to an audience? Did you see that make a shift for you in pitching?
When the placement came in, I was still like, all right, cool, that's great. This is like exciting. I'm still not getting in the studio right now though. Like I'm still on break.
What about the people pitching you? He just landed this deal. Maybe this would be, his other stuff might be good for you here.
I saw another brief come out within the same company. They didn't put the name on there, but they showed some things where I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is. And they came back and I didn't submit to it. I kind of felt a little regret, 40-30% of regret of not submitting to that because I was just like, no, I'm not going to get back into this. And I know exactly what this is. I should have submitted, but I didn't. So it's like they probably did want to pitch me if I would have submitted something, but I didn't. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Let me go to sleep and take a nap.
on your expensive couch. Don't get my money's worth out of this couch.
Right.
Just so that people know a little bit about that. So the fact that you wrote that 2 years prior for something else, right? That's another example of keeping your assets organized, right? And keeping them relevant so that you can allow these opportunities to occur, right? Without you having to really push on them.
Yeah.
But just because I'm sure a lot of them will look up after they listen to this to hear it, but tell us a little bit about the song and then how it fit into the campaign.
So the song is called I Got Flavor by Jared Oluwa on all platforms. But before you listen to that, you might think like, oh, okay, he made that song exactly for the actual KFC campaign. I did not. I had no food in mind, but the hook is talking about saucy, sauce all over me. I got flavor. So how I mentioned earlier, be as general as possible. That can mean anything. I had nothing food in mind, but it got used for a food commercial because it was for saucy nuggets. And so it was just perfect, right? And it was just like, yo, bro, you made this song perfect for the commercial. And I was just like, no, I didn't. I made that song 2 years ago. And so it was like so exciting to just be like, whoa, I'm glad I didn't get the other placement that I submitted for because then that song would have been taken up for that. And this opportunity wouldn't have came in. And so just giving it time and making sure that you have your stems in order because they ask for all of those things. So whoever's listening to this video right now, please get your PRO together, which is your ASCAP, BMI, CSEC, wherever you are, your performance rights organization. Have that ready, have your publishing ready so you can get paid twice. Have your stems together, which is all the tracks, the vocals, the instrumental, the hi-hat, the snare, the bass, the synth, whatever you used, and have your one-stop agreement ready where you can sign off and give authorization to say that this is 100% me, or if you have a co-writer, this is 100% us, whether that's 50% or 40, 60, 30, 70, whatever the case is. Have all that stuff in order first so you don't have to scramble because they send you emails, you have to respond back ASAP. And so they take account to that. So I had all my stuff in order so they didn't have to be like, oh, where's this? Where's that? Have your artwork also. That sounds like it doesn't matter, but they ask for artwork. So yeah, you have to have all that stuff in order.
You've also made such an effort to be an influencer, if I can call you that, that's all right, to others in the art world. And I think people of all types of career choices, I think, enjoy your content on social media, but also you are a member of a lot of organizations. And I think this is a really important thing to kind of highlight because as we said, when you talked about trying to get into the community and putting in your effort into places, I think a lot of people maybe miss the opportunity with organizations and being a part of organizations, being on panels. Can you speak a little bit to how that's benefited you and some of the ones that you are a part of?
Yeah, it just helps. It benefits you first because you get to explore and be more open and understanding of what's out there. And then it helps you create relationships. And then it also helps you create that value to say, hey, how can I be of help to other people? And then once you're helping them, you're also learning as well. And so it's not a one-side thing. It's, each one teach one, and everybody's also learning from each other as well. And it's just a new thing to just put yourself into it. I don't like to do it just to be like, look at me and I want to get to learn and meet this person. But I know I create value. Like we have to understand that in ourselves, whether we're introvert or extrovert or ambivert, we have to know that we have value. And if we don't, why are we doing it? Like, who goes on stage talking about I'm the weakest person? This is not going to work. Why are you on stage? Sit down. So other than that, if we're going to be in the spotlight and try to do things for other people, know that it's going to be beneficial, and know that, elevation is all a part of development. Whatever that means to you is going to help you.
What are some of the organizations that you are a membership or on the committee for?
The LA Recording Academy, which is a part of the Grammy Recording Academy and things of that nature. So Grammy U, Mentorship, Youth Mentor Connection, Lawndale High School. I'm a part of a lot of mentorship groups. Seed LA, Music Forward, and that's in the family of Live Nation. So just different things where I've been able to join and be a part of and join the family and connect with others, be somebody I'm wearing an actual All Access Fest shirt, which is a part of Music Forward actually, and I was a mentor for their last conference at the Hollywood Palladium. So it's like, what can we learn? And then also, what can we share? And that's my thing. I've learned a lot and I can share a lot.
What do you believe are the most significant challenges facing young creatives today? And how do these programs address these challenges?
I think a lot of times people don't know where to start. They see the biggest artists and they think that they have so far to go because they think that that's where they have to get and that's where they want to be. But a lot of times that stuff takes a lot of time, effort, challenges, falling off, learning things, interning, volunteering, working. And I think the biggest challenge is the misinformation. And so, or not having somebody to help you and, get you on board to where you need to go. It's more of a payoff when you run into a lot of walls, but learn and elevate, rather than somebody having a mentor or, going to school and getting all the, your peers and your staff and stuff like that. So that's another thing. If you're in college, don't go to college just to get the A. Go to college to be with your peers, connect with your peers, connect with the staff, connect with the professors because they know things. That's why they're there. And so you want to make sure you're not, even if you're paying for it or not paying for it, you want to make sure you put yourself in a position to expand and explore. And once you do that, you elevate. And those are the 3 E's: expand, explore, elevate. Ooh, wow. We just made that one up.
Oh, I'm totally stealing that one.
I was going to say that's now patent pending, musician Steve Jack.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're getting a lot of content from and a lot of value from out there in the media world?
So when I do listen to podcasts, I listen to A Diary of a CEO by Steve Bartlett. And he has so many different extravagant guests on his podcast, from entrepreneurs to artists to CEOs of the biggest companies that you can think of. And I think that's very beneficial to hear other people's plight and how they got through it. Because some people look, oh, you're rich. You don't have to deal with struggle, but you don't know how they struggle to become rich, And so hearing different things to be like, oh, it's not just me. Oh, it doesn't matter that I was, born with one parent or no parents or with no money. If you hear these different success stories, you don't have to come from a grandiose family or background. Artists need to hear that it takes time, it takes development to get to where you want to be, and just keeping that hope and just knowing that, hey, I'm going to get there. Let me take my time and enjoy the journey because that's a good thing. I also want to shed some light on Nipsey Hussle. He got me to reading again. Back when I was with him in the studio, we didn't talk about music. He had a bookshelf in his studio, and I was like, bro, you read all these books? He was like, yeah, I read all these books. And we just started talking about books. So I know you mentioned like what books, and I'm like, The Four Agreements, The Alchemist, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, different books that are just like self-motivating or just giving you outside thoughts about how to think. That's what I take from it. And just to know that, hey, life could be a struggle, but also what are you learning from this and what are you gaining from this and what can you do with that experience and what your thoughts, how important your thoughts are, because that can help you or it can hurt you. So that's something I'm still learning, like to think more positive and think helpful so I do more better for myself. And if I can do better for myself, I can do better for others.
I love it. Jared, thank you so much for being here on the show and sharing all of this with us. The last question, we just kind of want to know a little bit about what's coming up for you. I know that you're just kind of getting off a hiatus, so I bet you're probably making plans. Like, what are some of the things you're looking forward to that are coming up?
More travel. I'm going to get back into doing some music, so I'm going to do my own EP doing some more speaking engagements. I love doing workshops. So whether that's at a school, whether that's at a, organization, whether that's online, it doesn't matter. I just want to do something where I can put myself in a position to help others. And then just, I just love speaking and helping other people and letting them know, hey, don't make it so hard for yourself. Let's just have some fun. We're humans. It's going to take some time. If you compare yourself in a metric of, I'm not doing as good as I can be. Let me do better. Or, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I could be down there, but as I see the metrics and compare myself, I'm not doing so bad. Keep going. Don't stop and think that that's where it's the end of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to do that. And some people tell you not to compare yourself, but it depends on how you do it. But I'm also looking to going to Colorado for the Durango Songwriting Expo and being there with, you. Hopefully I can see you there, Dave. I don't know. And see the rest of my peers in the music industry because, you got to show face, show up. You know what I'm saying? That's the
There
key.
you go. I was going to ask you that because I think last time you said you were 97% sure.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that this conversation hit you over the top.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I'm 99 right now, and we still have a few more months to go. And by the time that comes up, I'm going to be 100% there in person.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Dave's in Madison, so I'm not sure if he's going to make the trip out, but
I'll fly you out. I'll fly you out, Dave.
But then
I've never flown a man out before, but this is a good thing. This is peership. You know what I'm saying? This is brotherhood. You know what I'm saying?
But if I'm going to steal all your quotes, I can't have you at the same location. Staying like that's a hard rule for me. I have to be able to escape quickly and not be found out.
I'm appreciative and thank you for sure for the questions, for the understanding, for the things that I'm thinking about from your questions as well. You know what I mean? So it's just like the realization of the things that we all need and to bring them back to you and reflect on. I think that's important. So Dave and Chris, I appreciate you for instilling that and helping the community as well. So musicians, Tip Jar, it's doing their thing, definitely helping other creatives.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So let's first talk about just Jared's 2-year window rule, because I think we can really highlight this. There is always gonna be things that you kind of want to do, right? We all have ideas like, oh, I should climb a 14er, and yeah, I should do that. I should talk to some people that do that. I should find out what kind of gear I would need for that. Oh, I can't just go and do that tomorrow. I have to train. Oh, okay, I'm going to give myself some time to train. Oh, I need some other people to train with, or I'm going to lose motivation, right? And so it kind of builds into all this stuff. But if we start with that end goal and we can work our way to a point in which we kind of have a strategy, that I think a 2-year window rule is a really useful place for that, because then, like you said before we started recording, sometimes you don't give yourself enough time to actually achieve what you're thinking of achieving. I think a lot of people think they're going to move to Nashville or move to LA and just get a record deal, right? And that's not our listeners, of course. Our listeners are much more realists than that. But it is a common thing, right? It's something where people start with that idea. That's what they want, but they don't go through all of the things that it might take and the things they can do to increase their odds of achieving that. And a 2-year window is a really great way to kind of build that plan.
And the 2 years also gives you a longer learning curve, but once it clicks, it shoots straight up. So it's got a wider tail to it. And then that curve just shoots up and you start to see things happen because of the community you surround yourself with. And
if it's something that's brand new to you, it's really important that you give yourself the outlet or the access to the information that's really going to be the most crucial for you. And I think that was really useful that he talked about interning and how interning doesn't have to only be for college age students or someone just out of college, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think interning is a great way to get to the heart of what you want to learn. And, they say even now, you should get paid for it. But if you have the opportunity to absorb all that information, go for it.
And I liked that you mentioned older students at colleges, because I've seen that too. And like you had mentioned in the interview, that's so true, that those are the people that are the most clear on the information they're trying to receive and the most open to receiving it. And there's an attitude brought from that gives them so much more power to absorb more information than the others around them.
Absolutely. I wish I would have learned more when I was that young, stupid college kid. Instead of being annoyed because I wanted the class to be over with and they're asking one more question, I should have been more curious to be like, oh, this person really knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
And all I hear right now is all you really want to do is go on a 14er. So I think we should plan on a 14er hike next time.
It's something I've never done.
Me neither.
Yeah.
We could camp early in the morning because you have to leave like at 5 a.m., right? You don't want to
I'm
be
sure.
on the
Yeah.
mountain by afternoon because of the
Storms.
lightning.
Right.
Yeah, we could talk about that in another podcast, our 14ers podcast.
But we do have to keep that hunger of new things and that hunger to learn how to do those things. It's got to be just something in you. And we talk about reading a lot. We talk about trying to be around people that inspire you, people that intimidate you with their talents, or people that are doing the damn thing, right? Those are the people you want to be around. You need to find ways to keep yourself hungry to learn more.
I've been trading for 2.5 years now, and a friend, Jason Ulive from high school, came out to the show this weekend that we had here in Madison. He lives like 40 minutes away. And I found out from a friend, not knowing that Jason even did this, he was already coming, but he's been trading for 20 years. Should have saw his face light up when I was like, can we talk more about this? Because I need someone to learn from. And it was almost like this thing like, oh, you want to talk about that too? Oh, no matter what it is, you never stop learning.
Yep. Well, and hopefully that makes you more money. But it is important to remember that money is not the happiness solution, right? Jared really emphasized that in a way that felt so honest. I mean, if you talk to a lot of kids, my kids, I mean, and I don't think this is from me. The kids these days in America, when you ask them what they want when they grow up, they go straight to money. They go straight to having those fancy cars and having big houses and having tons of money. It's a little concerning because if you ask kids in many other countries where they perhaps don't have as much affluence, they're going to talk about much more humbling things like a fresh loaf of bread, or they're going to talk about being more with their family. There's a concern to me about the elements in which our kids are desiring their goals in life, and that is definitely another podcast. But it is important to see how, as we grow, we realize the thing that motivates us, the thing that makes us happy in the end, is not money, right? It is the achievement of these things.
I didn't have the opportunity to travel and play shows overseas until I think I was 40. And the one thing that's kind of a faux pas is to ask someone what they do for a living. They ask in Ireland anyway, it was, what do you do for fun? And that changed the way I ask people questions now, because when I hear I want to know what people do for fun more than I really care how they make their money. So it's been nice to meet new neighbors here in Madison. Say, so what do you do for fun around here? What makes you happy? It's a great conversation starter, and you'll have a longer conversation for sure.
And that's what we do as musicians is what makes us happy. Making songs, writing songs, playing music, playing shows, and getting together with other people and making music. And I think if we can do that organically, we do see results if we're putting those things in the right places. And I think Jared's story about writing that song 2 years earlier, by the way, that time frame is not lost on us, and then having it become that biggest opportunity that he had ever had without him really having to try, right? There was no stress put into it. There was no concern. It just occurred because the things that he was doing were headed towards that direction. He set the stuff up right, and it headed towards that direction. When he went through that list for everyone, just a reminder that you need to be on those organizations with your music registered correctly and be ready to absorb those opportunities when they come, which also brought in talking about the organizations that he's a part of. This was such an eye-opener for me as an instructor at a university. There are so many organizations that email us all the time, and I really haven't become involved in any of them. And that's only because I think that my idea of how much time they're going to take turns me off from being interested. But the truth is that I really could benefit from them. And this was the kick in the pants for me to say, you know what, I need to be a part of these, because a lot of my comrades around that community are a part of a lot of them, and they really enjoy it. And it's nice to have an influence on these programs that do good in the world.
He inspired me as well. I wrote him to thank him for just showing up the way he does. And our last podcast, I mentioned Madison Music Makers, and I reached out to them and wrote them a short email. And I said, I just moved to town. If there's anything I can do to help in any way, please feel free to reach out. Let me know how I can be of service. And if it wasn't for that podcast with him, I don't know if I would have. It just pushed me to do it.
Yeah, and which is a great example of us using these resources and this information to motivate us and move forward, and do things that we don't know how to do yet because we're motivated. And you're taking away that fear, right? You're taking away that concept that it's too hard or too far from where you are. He had that idea of the 3 E's, right? The expand, explore, and elevate, which I have a hard time believing he came up with that on the spot because it's so good.
It was good.
But at least we get to emphasize it here because it really has a lot of power to realize that if you are expanding and you are exploring and you're elevating, these are 3 things that are going to push you towards getting where you want to get.
I signed up for the Diary of a CEO, one of his recommendations for a podcast. I realized I've watched more videos of that gentleman. I don't know what it is with Spotify, just like music these days. You don't hear the title of the podcast. You're just listening to great information. But not that I've been listening to that for a lot longer than I thought it was. What other books he said? The 4 Agreements?
Yeah, that was a good one to put on our list. He did talk about some that we've had on the list and that we both love as well. Napoleon Hill's book and The Alchemist, another great one. Yeah.
The story of The Alchemist. I mean, again, I think I read that way later than I should have to find out that you have what you need right in front of you the whole time. You just have to open your eyes. It was a great lesson.
So our action step for you guys today is to identify your main focus and build what you can to give that focus a true committed 2-year effort so that you can get to that goal. Another way is to identify what has passed the 2-year mark in what you're continuing to work on right now and see if that means that it's time to find a new strategy. The main thing is that you're not sitting around wasting your time thinking you're on your way towards that goal. This is a way to keep yourself in check and rejuvenate that goal. We know your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending this time with us. And being a part of this community, it's our hope that you feel that sense of community here at Musicians Tip Jar and that you'll help spread the word to make us stronger. If you'd like to get a hold of us, what's the best way to do that?
Send us an email at musicianstipjar@gmail.com. Check out our website, musicianstipjar.com, where you can check out all the resources and discounts we have collected for you. If you want to hear some of Jared's music and learn more about him, look him up on LinkedIn for sure. And then also Instagram at JAREDOLUWA. If you find this information useful, please rate, subscribe to the podcast, and like this video on YouTube because we need more people to show up there. Because Chris keeps getting emails about how we should grow our community there. And he sends them to me. Then I have to have more meetings. We don't want to have more meetings. So please just hit the like button.
As always, thank you for joining us. Remember, there is already enough for everyone. You just need to know how to get it. Until next time, on behalf of Dave Tamkin and myself, Chris Webb, stay happy, healthy, and wealthy. As Napoleon Hill said, don't wait, the time will never be just right. This is Musicians Tip Jar.
Oh Lord, I could use somebody. I could use somebody. I could use somebody.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, business, or financial professional for individualized advice. Individual results are not guaranteed, and all discussed strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The hosts are operating on behalf of Musicians Tip Jar, LLC.